Alright, you've probably heard this idea many times, but when I came up with this version, um, years and years ago, I had no clue anyone else had done it, and don't worry, this is quite a different version, but today this is not me telling you the version, this is me telling you about what it will include because it's pretty big and the idea was in the form of a TV show. So obviously that wouldn't happen. I wouldn't make a Star Wars TV show, it'd just be a fan fiction series, but it it's a long story that's over the course of a long time. It's complicated, so let's just get into the video. So the idea if Star Wars came to Earth, what would happen? I I thought about this when I years ago when I was a lot younger, and I thought I was like, OMG, I'm the first person to come up with this idea. Obviously, I was young and innocent back then and had no idea. But over the years, I've had the idea, and it's grown in a lot of different ways. And it's called Star Wars Earth Wars. Not really that. Um, what's the word? That creative for a name, but it basically describes the idea. And so there's the interesting thing, I guess spoilers ahead, because if you don't want spoilers for what I will make, then you won't want to hear the rest of this video. But I want to know if people would want to see this first, so I want some people to get feedback on if they'd actually want to watch this. So basically the gist of it is that it's a bit of a complicated story, but all the eras combine for one huge battle on Earth, the three main eras of the Skywalker saga at least. And there's the thing is that in a lot of the fan fiction I've seen of if Star Wars came to Earth and stuff, they always or usually make it so that no one has any idea what Star Wars is. It was never made or anything. But in this case, like all the Star Wars movies that have been made have been made. Like basically, I guess I would set this in 2022. Maybe just without COVID, because that's just not how I first came up with the story with those implications. But it doesn't it's kind of a slow start, because since I'm a kid and when you create a fan fiction, well, at least in this case, I was the main character, and me and a bunch of my friends, for the first 2 seasons, we're basically just trying to convince everyone that Star Wars is real and that something's going on, because there were probes and a lot of stuff going on, but it was quite sneaky and stuff. It You'll understand it better when it actually comes out, but there's yeah, it's really interesting though, because how I have a lot of ideas for how it works and stuff. And this is I've had so many iterations of the idea over the years. One of the first ideas I had was just me and my friends were just sitting in his backyard, and then Star Destroyers come out. But now a full-on invasion doesn't even happen until season 4. And then it's complicated, and I don't want to spoil too much. But it's a really interesting idea. And I don't know exactly how I do it. I kind of narrate it, I guess, kind of like those Generation Tech videos, which I actually got one of the ideas from them. I had come up with this idea for this series and everything way before I found their videos, but I actually liked one of the ideas from their First Order series, which I use in the premiere, at least for this iteration of the show. But I'd credit them and everything in the description, but and it's not exactly the same either. Actually, nowhere near exactly the same what happens, just the general idea of it. But yeah, I was wondering if you'd want to see this, because it would be a slow start before you get to see all of the huge action and like what's on screen right now happening. But it'd eventually get there, and I don't know, I'd probably release one weekly or something. I'm not sure about a schedule or anything yet. But I want to know what you guys think, because I've had this, like, I've always had, like, a lot of ideas for things, like, when I was, like 7, probably, I actually sent a letter to Disney about an idea for a TV show about Han and Chewie, just doing adventures after they get the Falcon, and it was, like, before, Solo came out, even. So, like, and they actually responded and returned the letter, and obviously they said no, but like, I knew they were gonna say no. But it was more like a fan letter, but and but they said, like, well, we have a lot of other projects in the works, and well, yeah, they did, now that we know everything that they've got planned. But anyways, yeah, it was a really funny show, and it was going to be like Legos and stuff with Han and Chewie. And if you want to see some of my old ideas of that too, you can tell me in the comments, because there are some really funny episodes that I made. Well, I didn't make them, but I like did all the descriptions, like if it was on Disney Plus, what would all the episode synopsises be and all that. So like the general idea for an episode, just not like, I didn't like make out the whole 22-minute episode or anything like that. But anyways, yeah, I want to see if you'd like to see Star Wars Earth Wars, and what you think about the idea. And yeah, I really like the idea, because I always thought, I guess the first time I came up with it, I guess I never even really thought about it just being one era, like just the Empire versus the Rebels over Earth. I always imagine it being like the ultimate, like, battle with all the factions and everything. And also, if you're worried about the earlier seasons, they still do have action and are quite interesting. They aren't as boring as you might think. But yeah, I want to know what you guys think about this. I'm definitely up for making this. That's why I'm making the video. And the thing is, I don't even know. In all the time that I've thought of this, I've actually never come up with like how it would end. Like, cause like it's like a huge battle eventually at the peak of the series between, like, for a couple seasons, like peak of like the Rebels, Empire, Resistance, First Order, Separatists, Republic, all against each other, and I guess eventually the Final Order too, probably, and just chaos. And there's other plot lines and stuff while that happens, but I never actually thought, how would the good guys defeat the bad guys, or would the good guys even win in the end? But because it's like just a huge battle, like with thousands of ships, and Earth is basically like the battlefield, and they've got bases, and it's just really cool, what I've thought of. So yeah, I want to know what you guys think. And yeah, I guess that's really all I've got. I think I'd probably release them on Fridays if I did do it, just because I don't want to release them on a day that the actual Star Wars series are releasing, because that'd just get too confusing for me. So 2 days later would be good. And it's like right before the weekend, so you could watch it every week, I guess, if you want to. The 2 episodes, first two, which would be a two-parter, would probably premiere at the same time. But trust me, there's some really interesting ideas I have, like, like Area 51 stuff, and, like, I don't want to spoil a lot, but, there's, like, eventually, like, one of Zam Wessel's species, like the changelings, is sent to try and stop us from proving Star Wars is real, and there's just a bunch of stuff that goes on. The whole third season is at Galaxy's Edge, and it turns out that the First Order is actually, the First Order, and, yeah. Hopefully you'll forget all that by the time that those parts come up in the show, but there's a lot that I have ideas for, so if you do want to see this, then definitely subscribe and like, and you could comment some ideas down below, because if they can work in the story that I already have, then I might add some. They probably wouldn't be like, they couldn't be like huge plot changing events, but if there's smaller things you'd like to see, and yeah, I just want to know if you would want to see this series. So yeah, I'll